Don't use that. Why? That's mommy's. Use this if you want to smell like that tea.
You never had to question if you were a man, so why give your money to a corporation that doesn't know if their products are made for men? Try Jeremy Razor's hair and body products. Jeremy shampoo and conditioner are made with tea tree oil to naturally clean and restore your hair and scalp, argan oil to soften your hair and not your masculinity, and aloe vera to moisturize the hair and scalp. It's all paraben-free, sulfate-free, phthalate-free, and most importantly, 100% woke-free. Not to mention, it smells amazing. Go to jeremyrazors.com and use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. That's jeremyrazors.com. Use my special code BURNS15 to save 15% off. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's video, we are going to discuss, of course, Fani Willis. Fani Willis, today the judge is going to decide whether or not if Fani Willis will be barred for the Trump trial. Also, I wanted to get into Fani Willis' background. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Fani Willis, she used to be a defense attorney, and actually she was the attorney of the YSL leader in 2019. And I guess since she started running for DA, and then she started, then she decided to prosecute them and bring them up on RICO charge. I think it should be some type of disqualification from that since she was their attorney, but I digress. Okay, so Rolling Stones did a piece back in the summer regarding this, and we're going to take a look at that. And if you miss some of the highlights of this hearing, Fani Willis hearing, we'll take a few snippets. We'll look at a few snippets. Also, Harvard University, it's a real liberal university. Claudine Gay, she had to resign from being the president. She still has tenure. She's still a professor at Harvard, but they decided to oust this one professor. This happened a couple of years ago, and it just became light. Fox picked up the news yesterday. His name is Professor Fryer, or Dr. Fryer, and he wrote a research paper in regards to police brutality and police shootings. And apparently Harvard didn't like his findings. So they ousted him and, made a mockery of his research paper and of his expertise. So we'll take a look at that and much, much more on today's episode of Business Talks.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
Okay, you guys, put in the chat. Let me know where you are viewing from. We like to. Ian Foster, he just gifted a membership. Thank you, Ian. Really appreciate you. Or I said Foster, Ian Forrest. Apparently, I can't read today either. Ian Forrest, thank you for the membership. We also have Denero Sparta. Denero, he actually gifted the membership to Denero, so welcome to the family. We have John Shaggy in the building, and Lenny Malley and Roberta Jansen. And we have a Susan in the building, Susan Romero. You guys, thank you for tuning in. And we have Mandy Davenport. So client lawyer confidential, don't apply to her. That's totally illegal. That's what I said. When I read this, I was like, no, it can't be. But we'll take a look at that. Anyway, And Noble Young, thank you for tuning in. So let's get started. So Fani Willis, this is the first story I want to really talk about. And she has been, she's been trending lately. Of course, she's been trending because her case with Trump and, the salacious, I guess, history of her and Nathan Wade. She decided that she was going to sleep with her subordinate and pay him in upwards of $650,000. Fani Willis said, no, he is a very capable and experienced attorney. But as everyone found out, Nathan Wade has actually, you probably been in the courtroom more than Nathan Wade in his whole entire career. Like, really. Nathan Wade has no prosecutorial experience as if we look at talking about criminal defense attorney. He has no experience on that. He's more like an ambulance chaser. And I think the most experience prosecuting crimes is probably because of Fani Willis. He has no legal experience anyway. But the governor was there, the ex-governor of Georgia. He testified that he knows Fani Wade. I said Fani Wade. See, I merged them two together. Funny. He knows Nathan Wade. He knows Nathan Wade. And he said he's a great organizer. So maybe he was brought on the case because of that, because he's a great organizer. But that's neither here nor there because, we need to follow the money. The question is, did Fani Willis have anything to gain by hiring Nathan Wade to this Trump case? And everybody is saying, if you listen to Democrats, they're saying, no, Fani Willis, she was wrong for this affair, but she had every right to hire him because he's an experienced attorney and she's not benefiting from this relationship. And then you listen to Republicans and they're saying, no, Fani Willis totally benefited from Nathan Wade being hired as prosecuting Donald Trump because he gained $650,000, far more greater than those other two people that's in the court. And he's not doing any work. Let's digress. He did a lot of the research. Okay. So there you have it. Now, if we look at Fani Willis' background, and Rolling Stones put an article out there. Let me just, hold on, you guys. I got to call my kid for some, he's not listening. Okay, so the kids are on for, they get more time off than there are at school. They're on mid-winter break, I guess it's called. So I'm just running a tight ship right now. Okay, anyway, so you see this article up here, Fani Willis. The title of the article is Fani Willis was the lawyer for YSL co-founder. He says she's not who she seems. That's what this article says. This is the title of the article. Fani Willis is not who she seems. Now, remember back in the beginning of last year, Trump put a tweet out there saying Fani Willis was sleeping with one of the YSL people, one of the Young Thugs people. And everybody thought like, oh, Trump is just spreading rumors, spreading lies. That's what they said in the media. But maybe it's not too far. Maybe that rumor is not too far stretched. Anyway, so the article reads that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has built a reputation on tough on crime prosecutor, eager to fill Atlanta prison through sweeping indictments. But YSL Mondo, who co-founded the Young Stoners Life music crew with Young Thug in the early 2010s, tells Rolling Stone that Fani Willis he sees on TV isn't the same woman who served as his defense attorney in 2019 during an aggravated assault case. This is not her character. This is not who she is. This is what he told on this during this interview. I'm done, had auntie, nephew, mother to son type of talks with her. I know this is not her character. This is not what made me start looking at the YSL case. Like I know it's bigger than just her. It's politics behind this, the S word, explicit. It's other people that's behind her pulling the strings. Okay, so Willis, who is currently prosecuting Young Thug and 13 other co-defendants in this RICO charge, which he has denied, worked as a prosecutor in Fulton County DA office for 16 years. But she briefly left the office in 2018 to establish her own practice, the law office of Fani T. Willis, LLC, Mondo. Mondo, a West Atlanta rapper who dropped his debut album on January 17th, says he hadn't previously known of Willis or her reputation as a prosecutor before his cousins suggested her as a defense attorney. I never heard of this lady before. I never heard no case she fought or nothing. I just went off the strength of my cousin saying that she was a good lawyer, she's a good lady, and she's a friend. I went off of that, and then I hired her. He posted a clip in his 2019 court proceedings on Instagram in the video, which has since been deleted. The two stand before a judge, and Willis pats him on the shoulder while he hugs his child, who was brought up to the defense table. It really wasn't nothing that I was trying to keep secret because the video is on my page, he says. That video right there went viral. I was shooting that out there because I know it's going to end up coming up. And he said he posted the video to proactively prevent anyone from thinking weird stuff about his interaction with Willis. And so Fani Willis reached via email appeared to confirm that she represented YSL Mondo, though she used his government name, which he requested that not be printed. I do not know him by that name you call him. All conversations with him are attorney-client privilege, and past confirming I represent him would be inappropriate. Oh, I think I can say I liked him. I hope he is well. So we know that she represented the co-founder of YSL. How did she come to the information to prosecute Young Thug and these 13 co-conspirators or co-defendants? How did she come about that information? Do we think Fani Willis, she probably, they probably should have moved YSL court case. And if they had pretty good lawyers, they will actually put a plea in to either get the case dismissed or move to a different district, because clearly it's a discrepancy, right? This is, it doesn't make any sense. You're going to represent me and then you're going to prosecute my friends. That clearly that doesn't represent. It's a problem right there. Anywho, let me get to some of your chats. Bonita said that's not right. They probably told her something confidentially. Yeah, you know they did. Lenny said that's all Nathan Wade has ever been, is an ambulance chaser. She had a RICO expert, but chose Nathan Wade over the white guy that was the RICO expert. Yeah, like I said, and they tried to say, with Fani, and not to say against her reputation, but you don't look good when you have these qualified people and you skip over a qualified person to get your man, the money, and he has no, experience in that type of case. To me, it's like you're not, you don't care, and because this is going to be a tarnish on your career, you don't care whether or not you lose this case. Apparently you don't. And the arrogance that she presented to everyone was watching her in the courtroom. She is a very arrogant person. She feels as if she doesn't have to answer to anybody. Anytime a woman think they come in and be like, oh, I'm the stuff, and you look like you haven't had any sleep. She probably was hitting the bottle hard because she didn't have any shapewear on. Nobody told her, Fani, get it together. She came barging in like she woke up and looking a hot mess in the courtroom. And then she started ordering people around, just disregarded the judge and the people that was actually testifying. And she said, oh, logically, I would be next. We're going to take a look at that. But this is a problem. So I'm questioning the legal justice system as it stands today, unless they just got some idiots that's in the courtroom. Like, how come no one said anything about this? Even if Young Thug is guilty of what you're saying, they should at least move this court case out of Fulton County. It should have been in a separate, different county to prosecute him. But of course, the smoking gun is Fani Willis. And Mondo says Willis is a great attorney. Getting his aggravated assault charge dropped to a lesser one and having him sentenced to a program in lieu of prison time. He says that even after his sentence, she worked to get him an early release program due to COVID. And beyond her casework, he says that two shared a cool relationship. Her being aware of his rap career and even using it in her defense. Okay, that's not her character, he contends. She's almost like not really street, but she understands what goes on, bro. She understands life to a certain degree. She ain't trying to take all these little black dudes down. She ain't that type of woman. I'm telling you, she's not. Well, apparently she is. Okay, apparently she is. Final advice to him provided a glimpse of where her career was headed. She was like, don't mess my name up. I'm about to get ready to run for this head of DA. You F around and do something, I'm going to sock it to your A. He recalls that conversation. Willis told us the comments sounds like me, but I don't recall the conversation verbatim. After his case was resolved, the two didn't talk, and he hadn't kept up with her until years later. And he saw her press conference announcing that her desire to convict his friends, YSL, including Young Thug. Next thing you know, I saw her on TV doing this indictment, and I was so puzzled, like, damn, where the hell did this come from? Mondo said he met Thug through the mutual friend, Buck. These are all rappers' names, you guys. So that's when they created Young Stoner's Life, the music crew. I've been talking to Mama Thug, and I've been talking to his sisters. He says, adding that Thug staying strong, given his circumstances. Thug is keeping it a good spirit and keeping his head up. But certain stuff he's just disappointed about. He says declining to get into specifics. So there you have it. Now, let's take a look at a couple of moments of Fani Willis' testimony. I just want you guys to see, this is the first day that Fani Willis decided to burst in the courtroom and say, hey, and I guess ain't nothing you could do about it. Ain't nothing you could do about it. Let me see if this. Is this my? Okay, yeah, this is it. Share this tab. 544. Yeah.
Thirsty.
Okay, Chase, I'm not gonna get up what I'm doing to make you something. You know where the cups are. Come on now. And you know I'm doing something.
Do you want to start reading some?
No, I don't. I'm online, Chase. Don't come in here no more.
And obviously,
This is the point where Fani Willis decided to bust in the courtroom, okay? Right now, they're arguing if Fani Willis should take the stand. And this is how this played out, okay? You guys, take note of this. This is how this played out.
You're advocates in our position, but that explanation of cash does not pass the smell test or the straight face test. She needs to go on the record. She filed this motion with his declaration. We've seen what happened here. Now, I'll just 2 or 3 more sentences. We need to have the full picture, as we've gotten from Mr. Wade, of his false interrogatory. Serious business for a lawyer or anybody. And then suddenly he's changing it. She files her financial declarations, same problems. We need her in here to go over all of this and to explain exactly what.
You see how she like, I'm in here. I'm here, and she came in literally huffing and puffing. Look at her. Look at her.
The court.
She breathing all hard.
And I would too, Your Honor.
Just a moment, Ms. Willis. So, Ms. Cross, I don't know if you want to speak with Ms. Willis now. It's sounding like maybe they're withdrawing the objection to the motion.
I'm happy to leave the motion to.
Or does Ms. Willis want to take the lead here?
We'll withdraw the motion to quash Ms. Willis.
Based on the I'm ready to go.
Okay, so the position of the district attorney at this point is that she's no longer contesting the subpoena. Ms. Merchant is called her as the next witness.
I would ask, I need 3 documents in front of me, and they're the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant.
3 filings.
Does anyone have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant? Does the court have the 3 filings of Ms. Merchant?
When you say the filings, you mean like the pleadings?
The pleadings, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I think we could locate those for you in the supplemental.
I want the one filed on January the 8th, the one filed immediately after we filed ours, and the final one.
If you want to take a break to get them, I can make a copy. I think we have one.
You know, the only copy I have is going to have my notes on it. So if we don't have a clean copy,
We have a 5-minute break during.
Let's
I'll get
take
the documents.
all right.
I'll sit here and wait for him.
And you hear, oh, I sit here and wait for him. Okay, so she's gonna sit there and wait for him. She was demanding of the court. I just want to fast forward to a certain point. And as you see right now, she's not in that chair because Alex, I think her name is Alex Cross, pulled her to the side. They pulled her to the back for about 10 minutes or so. Probably trying to convince Fani, you do not want to testify. You're going to make it worse. And she did. She's so arrogant. And instead of just letting her lawyers do what they came to do and try to avoid her testifying, she's so arrogant, she ruined her own case, you know. And I don't even think the judge was going to let her testify. I don't think. I mean, you guys, you put your comments if you think the judge was going to let her testify. I think he was just considering if Fani should testify. I think he didn't want to make a spectacle out of the court, and Fani Willis did that. Okay, so they was in the back for about 10 minutes. And then she was questioned. The first question she was asked, how did you know to come to the court? Oh, mind you, let me just put this on mute. Mind you, they're not supposed to be listening to everybody's testimony. Okay, but they did. She denies that she did, but she had it. She said she had it on the screen, so we know she was listening to it.
I would, and I do apologize. Anna, do me a favor.
Her name is Anna Cross. I don't know where I get Alex Cross from. Anna Cross.
Put them on my niece when you need glasses. After you swear, don't put them on my niece. You can swear, you can go ahead and swear, so I don't hold it before. Yes, Chelsea. District Attorney Fani, Fani. Last name is Willis.
Ms. Willis, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then?
There were people, I was pacing in my office.
Okay.
And I heard someone yell, his testimony is done. It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness. And I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. So I ran to the courtroom.
So as soon as you heard that Mr. Wade was done testifying, that's when you just assumed you would be the next witness?
It only makes sense.
Did you listen to any of the testimony?
I've been in my office pacing, ma'am.
Did you listen to any of the arguments?
I did hear the arguments this morning. It's ridiculous to me that you lied on Monday, and yet here we still are. And I did listen to that argument.
All right, so that was it, just the argument, no testimony.
Right, I listened to the argument this morning where Adam Abadi, I thought, did an excellent job pointing out how dishonest you were with the court on Monday. And I'm actually surprised that the hearing continued, but since it did, here I am.
Great. So let's just talk about what you did in preparation for today. Did you meet with Mr. Wade at all? Once the motion was filed, did you meet with Mr. Wade and talk to him about the motion that I filed to disqualify you?
On this first January motion?
Yes.
I don't know if you could say talked about. I probably had some choice words about some of the things that you said that were dishonest within this motion. So I don't know that it was a conversation. As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
Okay, but my question was, did you have a conversation with
I
him?
didn't have a substantive conversation.
You did not?
I read this motion, skimmed it more so, and I've probably said some choice things to him about some of the lies they were told.
Okay.
And then printed in the media because, we used to be in a day and time where you had 60 Minutes and people did stories and they verified information, and you had this great reporting. But it seems today that a lawyer writes a lie and then it's printed for all of the world to see.
Well, I just want to make sure that you answer the question I asked, though. So my question was...
I'm going to been asked and answered.
Overruled, Mr. Abadi.
The judge overruled it because she didn't answer the question. Did you have a conversation with Wade about this testimony, about this charge, or about this hearing? Because they're not supposed to communicate with each other. And she goes on because she got an attitude and she's pissed off. That's why I think she really listened to Wade's testimony. Because why are you so pissed? Well, I can see you being pissed off because you're saying that they're lying. But as you should be calmed down by now. If you said you filed the motion in January and and Monday they had to, actually dispute whether or not to proceed on this hearing. Okay, and they proceeded. You had 3 days of cooling period. So why are you still so upset that you can't answer questions? Like I said, Fani Willis' arrogance that's killing her. Just be like, just answer the questions. And if you know they're lies, then I believe justice will prevail. But now you're just trying to cover stuff up. To me, it's like you're covering up. And you give him, this long drawn out answer, which all of them did. Fani Willis, Nathan Wade, he's not smart. Some of the stuff they asked him, did you ever book a lodge? He's looking out on space. It took him 30 seconds to answer the question. It's yes or no. Did you ever book a lodge? Or a cabin? I think the word was cabin. And then he said, I booked many of cabins. Really? So did you ever book one with Fani Willis? Come on, dude. Anyway.
I told you what happened. I read the motion. I am sure I told him what my opinion of it is.
Okay.
And past that, we had no substantive conversation.
You did not. Okay.
Is there something you didn't understand?
No, I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
you did not have a meeting with him in the conference room to discuss the motion.
Next question,
No.
Ms. Merchant.
So in the conference room of my office within this week, you produced some financial document. That financial document was given to me, something, and I'm not even sure who's given it to him by me or Mr. Abadi gave it to me. And I think he showed me a document in our conference room. But as far as a substantive conversation, I don't believe I've had any conversation with him that is substantive related to this.
Okay.
I have had conversations with him since you filed the motion, but they wouldn't be substantive to this. He sent me very nice sermons that have been done. And so we've had conversations about, did you listen to that sermon? Things of that nature. And I would say they were in relationship to this because I think he did it to be kind.
Okay.
But we did not have a consistent.
Okay, so in this next, I just fast forward because she's rambling. This is just to prove Fani Willis is something wrong with her. You could tell something's really wrong with her.
Relationship from when I left college and came to Emory Law School here in Atlanta. But
She's talking about the girl that testified that she made her quit over some office agreement. Not for sure what the office agreement was. It never came out. But that was Robin Urey. I don't know if you guys remember her testimony, but she testified back in 2019. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade knew each other, and I think their relationship progressed in 2020. In 2021, prior to November, because Fani Willis sublet her condo. She knew about the relationship. So Fani Willis is trying to say, oh, I knew her, but she really wasn't my friend. That's what she's saying.
8 to 10 years ago, just by happenstance, I ran into her.
So
she was in Atlanta.
You have been friends with Robin for 30-something years.
Did you hear my answer, madam?
Yes, and I'm asking if you've been friends with her for 30-something years.
I've known her for 30-something years. We certainly hung out and partied together in college. She was from the D.C. area. She would come home, we partied together. Wasn't close, but she was certainly in the girlfriends that partied together. And then, like I said, I ran into her about 10 years ago in Atlanta, Georgia. But we didn't talk throughout that time period. I didn't see her. I didn't even know where she was. When I ran into her, I was surprised she was in Atlanta. And so, yes, I have known her probably since 1990, 1991, but we have not maintained a consistent relationship that whole time.
For the last 10 years or 5, whatever you'd like to classify it as, have you been friends with her?
I have not spoken to Robin in over a year. I certainly do not consider her a friend now. I think that she, there's a saying, no good deed goes unpunished. And I think that she betrayed our friendship.
So let's narrow it down, the timeline now. So my questions are going to be from the time period of 2019 until she no longer was employed for you, the last time you all talked. So all of my next questions are just focused on that time frame, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Up until she left your office.
Yes, ma'am.
During 2019, you all were friends, correct?
Yes, we knew each other in 2019.
During 2020, you all were friends, correct?
We were friends during that time period.
During 2021, you all were friends, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And such good friends that when you needed a place to stay, you asked her if you could take over her lease.
That's a lie.
You did not move into her apartment?
I did, but that's not the way you characterize it is wrong.
I asked if you could take over her lease.
I did not ask if I could take over her lease.
Did you move into her apartment?
I moved into her condo in April of 21. The circumstances around that were that Robin met her husband. They wanted to move into another and separate place. She wanted to get rid of her condo. My father was living with me at the house. Because of this case and because of my stance on gangs, my life was being threatened regularly. My father urged me to leave our home. At the same time, as luck would have it, Robin wanted to give up her lease because she wanted to move in with this new man she met, who eventually became her husband. And so, as life circumstances worked, my dad was begging me to leave the house. He was afraid for me, afraid for his grandchildren. She wanted someone to take over her lease so that she didn't, have to pay a fee or get abandoned. And so, I don't remember when, but probably March or April of 21, I moved in and take over her lease.
And did you pay her or did you pay the leasing agent?
No, I don't even know who the leasing agent was. I paid her.
You paid her. Did you pay her cash or did you use a card?
There were some times that I would give her cash, but mostly I paid her via Cash App. That would be the most convenient thing. So I would not only give her her rent, but then like when the utilities would come in, whatever the utility was, she might be like, I need $70, I need $100, whatever it was. And we never had a problem with money. Whatever she told me it was, I never asked to see a bill. I never questioned her. I just gave it to her.
What percentage would you say you paid cash versus Cash App?
Oh, the vast majority was Cash App. I don't know what percentage. I'm not going to guess that. But the vast majority was Cash App. But there would be times she would say, this bill came in at $70. Here goes $70.
Did you have a monthly rent amount that you paid her?
I can't remember. It was $1,400, $1,500. I can't remember what it was. And it would vary, which I don't understand to this day. But like I said, I never questioned her.
When did you move out?
Whatever she said it was, that's what I paid.
When did you move out?
I abruptly moved out in February. either late January or early February of 22.
Of 22.
Yes,
February
ma'am.
2022, is that what you said?
January, February of
Jan-
22. I believe it is January, but I paid her half the rent of February of 22 is what I remember. And because I was offering to pay the whole rent, even though I didn't live there, I didn't think it was right. April of 22. His birthday is March the 18th.
Okay, so she talking about rent, blah blah blah. Okay, so you're trying to act like this Robin Yurdy was really not your friend. Y'all was just associates, but how did you hire her? You wasn't really her friend during the time period that she moved or that she lived in Atlanta for 10 years. You knew her for 10 years that lived in Atlanta, and 20 years prior to that. You hung out together in college, but since y'all went to a different college, y'all was just associates. I could believe that, but usually people would say, oh yeah, we're lifelong friends. Even though you might not talk to them every day, that's your friend. Okay. So she's trying to say, oh, she was just an associate. I'm assuming. And then she's used the word abruptly moving from her apartment. Okay. Is that because you forced her to quit? And like I said, they didn't really get into why Robin quit. Robin just said she had two choices, either to quit or get fired. So anywho, that was that. Now they're talking about April 22nd, which is Nathan Wade's birthday. This is going to get into the cash payments. I don't know who carries around cash like that, but I'm just saying, maybe you do. Usually if you want petty cash, you don't spend it. You don't give it to people. You just keep it just in case of emergency, not to spend. That's my own personal opinion. You guys put in the chat. The cash that you got in your home, is it for, hey, this is just in case the banking system goes down and I have to use it, or some type of emergency that I need it right away? And going on vacation is not an emergency. But she says she just keep cash in her home. Anyway.
So that would have been his 49th birthday. I took him to like Tennessee for the day. I think we went to a museum. I think we might have stayed the night. I'm not sure. But I mean, Tennessee's kind of hard to call a vacation, but I just am trying to be inclusive. And it, like I said, I know it wasn't more than a day.
So you didn't spend the night?
I think that we did. That's what I'm telling you. I think that there's a possibility that we stayed that night in April of 22.
Who paid for the hotel?
I think I did. It was his birthday.
And would you have used a credit card?
Probably maybe a debit.
And when did you start dating?
When I started dating Mr. Wade, it was right around then.
April 2022?
22, yes.
2022.
It was around then. I don't know, like, it's not like when you're in grade school and you send a little letter and it says, will you be my girlfriend, and you check it. I don't know the day that we started seeing each other, but it was early 22 is my recollection.
Okay, early 22. And you all went to Florida on vacation as well?
I don't recall going to Florida on vacation with him.
You never went to Florida with Mr. Wade?
When we went to get on the cruise ship, we went to Miami.
Okay, that's the only time that you went to Florida with him?
I think we went to Miami and spent the night. That's my recollection.
Okay.
I think we spent one night so that we wouldn't miss the ship. That's my recollection of our
Who paid for that hotel?
In Miami?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that.
And how'd you get to Miami?
We would have flown.
Okay.
And we've done that, so that I'm clear, we've done that twice. I think one time we stayed, and I honestly can't tell you, did we stay when the ship left or did we stay when the ship came back? I also can't tell you, so there's 2 cruises out of Miami. There's one that's in that October time period that was with his mom. And then there was another that was a New Year's Eve trip. I know I paid for the New Year's Eve trip because the tickets were $697 each. And I thought, this is ridiculous that the tickets are $700 to go to Miami. But when you travel during New Year's Eve, they get you.
So let's just back up and talk about the first time that you went to Florida with Mr. Wade. That was the time that you said you stayed in Miami at the hotel the first night?
That's the time I told you I am not sure. So I'm not sure of two things. So I want to make sure that my testimony is clear. I'm not sure if we stayed in Miami on the October trip. I'm not sure if we stayed in Miami on the December trip. I just can't remember that. And I also don't remember, so that the record is clear, I don't remember if the necessity was as we got on the ship or we got off the ship. But I do remember there was a night spent in Miami because either whatever. I don't remember. But I think that there was a night spent in Miami.
That cruise is the one that you took in October, right?
Ma'am, if you have something to refresh my recollection, I'm intentionally trying to not be difficult with you, but I don't want to make up something.
Right.
I know that on one of those two trips, we stayed in Miami. I am not sure right now. You're asking me about.
Oh, I'm sorry, you misunderstood. I was not asking you which night you stayed in Miami. I'm asking if you took a cruise in October 2022 with Mr. Wade.
Yes, and his mom.
And his mother. That's what I was asking.
Yes.
Is that the first time you met his mother?
Yes.
It was on that cruise, and that was Royal Caribbean, I believe?
I honestly don't remember what ship. I know we've taken two cruises. I don't know what the ships were.
But he paid for the flight and the cruise on Royal Caribbean that time.
So yes, he paid. He is the original one that does it. He has something called, Mr. Wade is a world traveler. I'm not as versed as him. He's been to 6 of the 7 continents. And so he has both a personal travel agent and he also has a cruise travel agent. I don't know anything about either of those kind of travel agents. So he is the one that would book the travel, but we need to be clear when we're talking about just because he booked it doesn't mean, like, I don't consider him having taken me anyplace. Let me just be honest. The only one that's ever taken somebody someplace is for his 50th birthday. I consider that I took him to Belize. And I took him to Belize because, I don't want to discuss his personal business, but I'm happy Mr. Wade is still here with us. And I did 50 big, very big.
So still on that October Royal Caribbean cruise, even though he had a travel agent. I'm sorry?
If you do me a favor, I don't know what cruise ship, what time. So if you'll help me and say October cruise with Mama or the New Year's Eve trip with his sisters, I'll be able to, we can communicate. I just don't know what ship.
October cruise with Mama. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He paid for the cruise and the flights for that trip.
So he called his cruise agent.
Look, just say he booked it and I reimbursed him. Why are you making a mountain out of a molehill? He booked the travel and I had to reimburse him because that was our travel plan. But she's making it too long if you actually paid the man back. That's if you actually paid him back. Does anybody put a 1 in the chat? Do you think Fani Willis paid this man back? No, all of a sudden you paid it back because everybody know your business now. And you don't want to look like you doing something wrong. This is just really ridiculous. You're making, if anyone asks me, I went on a cruise ship with the man, and I would be, this is me personally. If a man invited me on a trip and he booked the cruise, and you think I'll go in my you get some nookie and you think I'm gonna go in my purse to pay you back? That would be the talk of the time. Like, yeah, girl, he had the nerve to ask me for a reimbursement. I'd be like, devil, not today. Like, come on. Of all black, and we're talking about black women. We're talking about black women reimbursing a man for a cruise ship. Come on. That's just, let's use common sense. Okay, we want to take Fani Willis. Okay, she's a high-powered attorney. She's the district attorney. Take all that out the equation. This is a black woman dealing with a black man. I done got your black ass a job, the $650,000 job, and we traveling together. This is the least you could do is pay for my cruise. Come on. Everybody's trying to act like, oh, she paid it back. If you believe this bull BS, she did not pay this man back. And if you believe it, you're crazy. Apparently, you don't have any experience in a relationship with a woman and a man. You're crazy. You're not. And I don't care how bulldogged she act or how independent. Most women like getting wine and dine. I don't know not one man. I don't know not one woman, and I know women like her, is going to be like, oh yeah, but boo, I'm going to pay you back. No, you ain't doing nothing for me. Here's your money back. No, that's stupid. Anyway, like I said, put a 1 in the chat if you think she actually gave this man the money back.
And he booked that through them because he has a cruise agent.
Right.
He also has a regular agent. I don't know the cruise agent's name.
So I wasn't asking about his travel agent. I was just asking
but
if
I'm
he
trying
paid
to,
for those.
He did not, though.
Okay.
Because the reason I consider that he did not is I gave him his money back.
And I was about to ask that. But initially,
Hello, why this is a 54-year-old woman, 53-year-old woman, however old she is. The first thing that if somebody asks you if somebody paid for a $3,000 trip, the first thing you're going to say, oh, hell no, he didn't pay. I reimbursed him. I reimbursed him for that trip. That's the first thing you say. You're not going to say, oh, he has a cruise agent. He has a travel agent, blah, blah, blah. No, I reimbursed him. Who cares? Yeah, he put it on his credit card, but I had to reimburse him. I reimbursed him because I knew blah, blah, blah. That's why this was an afterthought. This testimony is an afterthought. They had to think, oh yeah, I don't have any records of the receipt because I paid them cash. You're claiming that this world traveling guy doesn't have Cash App and he's an attorney. He's an attorney. And he says he received cash all the time at his office. And she even claimed that the attorney Bradley, she paid him through Cash App, which is kind of weird. If he's doing work through the state or the county, why are you paying him Cash App? I'm not for sure. But anyway, we're not discussing him. I'm just saying, you're telling me this guy don't have Cash App. My husband, he didn't have Cash App, but at work, they always trying to hit him up for cash, or if he got to order lunch to get payment back, they was like, oh, you need Cash App. So I had to show him how to download Cash App so he could start getting reimbursed for people ordering lunch. Come on now, that's reality. This is like common sense. You're not going to explain a trip, a $3,000 trip, and say, oh, he has his agent. And the first thing you would say, yeah, I had to reimburse him, or I reimbursed him. That trip wasn't free. I had to pay him back.
initially he paid for that.
Yeah, he called his cruise agent. Like, I think they have his card on record. They do whatever.
Okay, so initially he paid for the cruise and the flight to Miami and the Royal Caribbean cruise.
And my understanding of that October cruise is like it was a package the lady did for him.
Okay. And I'll get to the reimbursements and all that. I'm just trying to confirm he paid for the flight and the cruise in October.
And I think that when you say things that way, I want this record to be
Initially.
abundantly clear that he calls his travel agent, he calls his cruise agent. They do whatever he tells them. He's like on a first name basis with these people.
Why are they being, I'm sorry to keep on interrupting, but to me, that's why she's digging herself in the hole. To me, it's like you're explaining too much. We know you went on a trip. Who gives a damn who made the reservation? Where did the money come from? That's where they're trying to find out. Where did the money come from? And you're saying when you're saying it like that, he called the cruise agent. I want everybody to know that he called the cruise agent. He called the agent. Who cares? Just answer the damn question.
They do it, and then he tells me how much it is, and I give him the money back. I don't, just like you're asking me about the money with Robin, I don't do my friends like that. So if you tell me it's a G, then you're going to get $1,000. If whatever it is, I didn't ever make him produce receipts to me. Whatever he told me it was, I gave him his money back.
Isn't it true that he paid for the cruise and the flight on his credit card? I'm not asking about reimbursement or after. He used his credit card to buy the cruise and buy the flight, correct?
I have no idea how he paid for it, if it's a credit card, if it's a debit card, but certainly he called his cruise agent. You know, like how many people have a cruise agent? He calls his cruise agent, tells them where they want to go. They tell him what's booked. And you have to remember, he paid for, that initial was me, him, and his mother.
And then after that cruise, you all flew to Aruba and spent a couple days in a hotel there, correct?
Right, and his mother was not happy
He
that we left her
initially
behind.
paid for that. He initially paid for that.
For Aruba, yes, ma'am.
So let's talk about both of those. I know he initially paid for it. Did you pay him back?
For the cruise and for Aruba, yeah, I gave him his money before we ever went on that trip.
You gave him cash before you ever went on the trip?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when you got cash to pay him back on these trips, would you go to the ATM?
No, lady.
You would not go to the ATM?
No.
Okay. So Fulton County pays you direct deposit, I assume?
Yes, Fulton
Okay.
County and the state of Georgia both pay me direct deposits.
Okay. So the cash that you would pay him, you wouldn't get it out of the bank?
I have money in my house.
You have money in your house. So it was just money that was there.
When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does. When we were growing up, my daddy had 3 safes in the house. So my father's bought me a lockbox, and I always keep cash in the house. Now, I don't do it to the degree that my father would do it, so he would probably be ashamed with me, but I always have cash at the house. That has been, I don't know, all my life. If you're a woman and you go on a date with a man, you better have $200 in your pocket, so if that man acts up, you can go where you want to go. So I keep cash in my house, and I don't keep cash as good in my purse like I used to, because I don't go on many dates, but when you go on a date, you should have cash in your pocket.
So my
I'll let her finish.
question was, where did that cash originally come from, if it
I had
didn't come out of the bank?
Cash is fungible. I had cash for years in my house. So for me to tell you the source of when it comes from, when you go to Publix and you buy something, you get $50, you throw it in there. It's been my whole life. When I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign, I kept some of the cash of that. Like, to tell you I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today as I would normally have, but I'm building back up now. So you just put money in. It's a very good practice. I would advise it to all women.
So you can't identify when you came into this cash or where the cash came from?
I didn't say I couldn't identify it. No, nobody gives me anything. I am sure that the source of the money is always the work, sweat, and tears of me. What you asked me for is, when did the money go in there? What I am trying to tell you is, so I got divorced in 2005 from my husband. No. It's important. You said, where did the money come from? And I need to tell you where the money came from. And so for many years, I have kept money in my house. That money in my worst days has probably only been $500 or $1,000. At my best days, I probably had $15,000 in my house at cash. At all times, there's going to be cash in my house or wherever I'm laying my head.
The money that you paid Mr. Wade, the cash, in October of 2022, you do not know where that money came from?
I do know where it came from. It came from my sweat and tears.
You know which job it came from? Did it come from Fulton County or did it come from a private job?
It came from, what are you talking about? So it could have come from.
I could see where Fani is getting irritated about that, but my thing is, I think she's lying. Fani is being dishonest right here. Reason why I think Fani is lying is because you made sure that you paid this guy. Follow me. You made sure that you paid this guy back because you knew that it will be a problem. Hey, I'm going to pay you back because this is our relationship. I don't want people to think about this, even though it's a secret relationship. I know it's going to come up, whatever. You got caught. So now you're saying you paid them back because you're making everything on the up and up. You're following the code of ethics, even though you didn't follow the one sleeping with your subordinate. You didn't follow that code of ethics, but you don't want to get any federal charges because you saying you pay this man back. Okay. If you're saying that I'm following the code of ethics, why wouldn't you keep receipts? Why wouldn't you do that, Fani? That's why I know she's lying. You're telling me that this man that you're sleeping with, every time he took you somewhere, you split stuff 50-50. Does that make any sense? Somebody put it in the chat. I don't care how a strong woman empowered you are. A woman does not do this. I don't know no woman that does this unless her man is broke. And Nathan Wade wasn't broke. A woman that's sleeping with a man that's broke and he D'ing her down, she paying for all the trips. The dude don't even got no credit card. He don't got good credit. So she paying for everything. But she's trying to say, she's trying to spin it, oh, I'm such an independent woman, and I pay for everything. No man ain't gonna never do nothing for me because I'm 52 years old and I'm powerful and I'm the district attorney. You're lying. This is an absolute lie. And I can't understand why people can't see that. I just can't understand that.
A private job, because before I was DA, I was in private practice. So I earned money during that time period. That's probably in there.
You don't know
could have. What do you mean? I don't know where it came from. I
understand the situation. We can move on.
Okay, thanks. Same with Aruba.
I don't think it came from selling drugs now. Not like I said, the attorney, she keeps on saying, I didn't know. You attorney, you have a smoking gun. And I'm talking to Michael Roman's attorney. You have a smoking gun. You keep on hounding, oh, where did it came from? Where did it came from? She had cash. She was a private attorney, represented drug dealers or whatever. Criminals. You think they gonna pay her with a check? No, they paying her with cash. So in Fani's defense, she probably had a stack of cash. If she kept cash, she probably had a stack of cash somewhere. In Fani's defense, but like I said, Fani, you did not pay him back. You gave the man a job that's making $650,000 a year. He D'ing you down. And then all of a sudden you gave this man a job and you gonna say, oh, let me pay my half. You got to be the biggest fool in America. Of all the hoes in America, you the cheapest one, the dumbest one. And I hate to be calling her that, but come on now. She slept with a married man. I don't get in the chat talking about their marriage was irreconcilable. He did not file for divorce until 2021. She slept, or 2022. You slept with a married man. So stop it. On that point, stop. Do not put it in my chat. Oh, their marriage was. Do not put that in my chat. She slept with a married man and continued to sleep with this married man. Gave him a $650,000 job, and you gonna tell me you paid this man back? He took you on a trip and you paid him back? Say it out loud. How foolish does that sound?
You don't know where that cash came from either, right?
Ma'am, you are mischaracterizing my testimony greatly. I'm not going to allow you to mischaracterize my testimony. I know that I keep money in my house. The amounts of money I gave Mr. Wade, it was never that serious. I don't think I've ever handed him more than $2,500 in a reimbursement. So we're not talking about $20,000 in cash. I don't have $20,000 in cash right now. The most I ever gave him, I know I gave him $2,500 when we went to Belize, because we went to one hotel and then we went to a second hotel. That $2,500 I actually gave him while we were still in Belize. I know that the Aruba trip, the one that you described with his mom, I think I gave him about $2,000 for that trip, for like total.
His mom went to Aruba with you?
The Aruba trip. So I consider that to be one trip. So we got off of a cruise ship and then we went to Aruba, which is why I cannot remember, is that the time that we had to stay in Miami to wait for the flight for Aruba.
Okay, so that's enough about the cash. To me, it sounds really ridiculous. I don't know why they even keep on asking her about the cash. Let's just make the conclusion. I'm assuming Fani does have a lot of cash. She do keep cash. If your attorney and was a district a defense attorney, of course, you're going to have criminals coming up and paying you stacks of cash for their defense. Their retainer is a $10,000 in cash. And they might give you a certified check, but we're talking about criminals here. Anyway, I digress. Then you're going to just go down this journey saying, oh, you paid him cash, but you don't have no damn receipts. To me, that sounds really ludicrous. If this is against your code of ethics, people probably would have been questioned. You wasn't born yesterday. So why wouldn't you keep a tab on it? Oh, I don't know. It's not a gift if you're dating someone. Well, you hired the man that you're sleeping with. So what are we saying? Anyway, this is when she gets really upset. Attorney Willis get really upset with the questions.
Mostly full of lawyers who have spent their lives in and out of a courtroom. We all know what professionalism looks like, what decorum looks like, and devoting ourselves to the rule of law and proper advocacy. I would urge everyone to keep those principles in mind, starting with the fact that we won't talk over each other. And from there, we'll get through this. Ms. Merchant.
Thank you, Judge. How often did Mr. Wade visit you at a place where you were living between 2019 and 2021?
So you want to start with the lie that he lived with me in South?
I skipped the part. This is it.
Mr. Wade for taking on the task of this job. And he is certainly my friend and one of the people that I respect the most. So if you ask about a personal relationship, I consider myself to have a personal relationship right now, Mr. Wade. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Anna Cross. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Mr. Abadi. I consider myself to have a personal relationship with Andrew Evans.
Okay, let me just clarify that.
I have a personal relationship with him as we speak right now. I don't think that's what you're asking. I think that's what you're asking.
When did your romantic relationship with Mr. Wade end? Did it end?
Me and Mr. Wade, we are good friends. My respect for him has grown over these 7 weeks of attacks. We are very good friends. I think, but for these attacks, it would have been a friendship that, as life goes, you would have stopped having. I think that you have cemented that we'll be friends to the day we die.
Let's.
Could we just have an answer to the question?
I can handle Mr. Seda. Let's have it.
She asked about a personal relationship.
She asked when the romantic relationship ended. That's the question.
It sometime in I'd say late summer of 2023. So I don't believe me and, this is what you're really asking about. This is the salaciousness of all of this, right?
No, I'm just asking about your romantic relationship, when you stopped dating.
I think that me and Mr. Wade, so he's a man, he probably would say June or July. I would say we had a tough conversation in August. And so that men in relationships at the end of physical intimacy, women in relationships when that tough conversation takes place.
And where, when did he come to, I guess, the condo? I'm not sure what you called it, condo apartment. Would he come and stay at that condo or visit you there? I'm sorry, visit you there.
What condo, what apartment? I want to be clear.
So not your house. I know you classified one as house and one as condo, so I'm trying to use those terms.
So but there's been more. See, what you don't understand is because of this case, I got to move. And so I
Ms.
need
Merchant, if you could ask a more precise question.
Yes, please, give me the time period. that we're
Mr.
talking
Wade visited you at the place you laid your head.
about. When?
Has he ever visited you at the place you laid your head?
So let's be clear, because you lied in this. Let me tell you which one you lied in. Right here. I think you lied right here. No. This is the truth,
Judge.
And it is a lie. It is a lie.
Ms. Willis?
You see.
Mr. Sena, thank you. We're going to take 5 minutes. Be back in 5.
So they had to take 5 minutes. They had to take 5 minutes and they're going to come back for break. And that's where we saw the judge is like, hey, we don't need to overtalk each other. Fani, she needs to start working out because she looked like she's only 52 and she looks like she's struggling with those shoes that she got on. And she's like 52 or 53. Anyway. She ended up being mad because they're trying to get direct answers out of her. But she's going around and beating around the bush. You're just avoiding answering the question. I know these are not yes or no questions, but they're very definitive questions. When did your relationship end? Well, I'm not a man, but if you ask Nathan Wade, he'd probably say April or May or June. But I'm not a man. Like, just tell us, when did you think the relationship ended? Come on, Fani. What is the problem? It's like you're dodging all the questions. That's probably why her and Nathan get along so well, because he dodged all the questions too. He was just as slow. Like, come on now. So this is the judge scolding everybody. And he's basically saying, hey, we're not going to do this.
2021.
So you want to start with the lie that he lived with me in South Fulton in 2019, a home he's never been to? That's one lie you told in your document.
Judge, I didn't ask her about that.
Ms. Merchant, I want you to ask a very precise question. I think she's saying and answering that he did not live with her. So why don't we break that up into smaller parts?
And I didn't ask about living.
But you put in your, while we're talking about professionalism, she put in 3 different documents he lived with me.
Full opportunity to respond.
And filed that with the court.
In 2019.
He's never been to South Fulton. In 2019, I lived in South Fulton. He has never been to my residence in 2019, ever, not once.
In 2019, he's never been to your residence, any place.
I lived in my home in South Fulton before I started getting the threats that were here, a house I paid for with my own sweat and tears. I'm no longer able to live there. But in 2019, I did. And in the 2 months of 2019 that I knew Mr. Wade, 3 months, the beginning of October, all of November, and all of December, Mr. Wade never came to my house in South Fulton. Let me help you out. I lived there in 2020. He never came to my house in 2020, let alone live with me, as you put falsely in these documents. In the first 3 months of 2021, when I could still enjoy my home, Mr. Wade never came to South Fulton, and it is certainly a lie that he lived with me.
So in 2020, so you said 2019, 2020, did Mr. Wade ever visit you at a place that you
He
resided?
has never been to my home in South Fulton. 2020 was before I knew that a phone call was going to be made and I was going to have to abandon my home. As a result thereof, he never visited, lived at, came to, or has seen South Fulton.
You qualified that with your home in South Fulton.
That's where I lived in 2020.
2020, did he ever visit you at a place that you resided?
Okay. I don't understand. You're going to give me guidance. In 2020, I lived in South Fulton.
Okay.
That's the only place I lived in South Fulton. That's before I had to abandon my home, Judge.
All right.
And at my home in
we're
South
gonna clarify
Fulton,
this. We'll break it down.
he never came there, okay? So if you don't come someplace, you can't live there.
Ms. Willis, I'm going to have to caution you. This is going to be the first time I have to caution you. We have to listen to the questions as asked. And if this happens again and again, I'm going to have no choice but to strike your testimony. So we need to break this down. Ms. Merchant's question, I believe, was asking whether you lived anywhere other than South Fulton.
I did not live anywhere but South Fulton, Georgia in 2020. That is before I began my prosecution of this case, and it was my plan to only live there.
Did Mr. Wade ever visit you at the condo that you leased from Miss Yurdi?
He visited that condo, yes.
He did.
Yes.
Did he ever spend the night at that condo?
No.
Just visited.
Yeah, but he did visit for sure.
Did you ever go out to eat together, other than the lunches you talked about,
In
during
2020?
2019 or 2020?
I would think that we probably went to lunch, but it wouldn't have been, let me think, 2019. I'm going to say, I don't know, I'm going to say we probably broke bread someplace in 2019. I don't remember it, but it seems like we would have broke bread sometime in 2019. So I'm going to say yes, although I have no recollection. But it seems to me like I go out to eat and drink with pretty much everyone, so I'm going to say yes.
So outside of the vacations that we've already talked about, did you ever go out to dinner with Mr. Wade?
I mentioned to you that
I'm going to object as to what time period. Like we're asking very vague questions. I thought we were treating the witness as hostile under 611. We're no longer doing that. So we're going to go back and forth. We need to be more specific with our questions if we're going to treat her as hostile.
All right, Ms. Merchant, it's not so much. I think you can elect between leading and open-ended questions, but I think we are still wondering about, and I think we need to get back on track of focusing on the financial benefit or the relationship.
And my next question about if you did go out to dinner, who paid when you went out to dinner?
He paid, I paid.
You both paid.
Okay, so let me be real clear. We didn't say, oh, the bill is $102. You give $51, I'll give $51. I don't operate like that with my girlfriends. I don't operate like that with anyone.
Okay, so you're being contradictory. You don't operate like that with your girlfriends. Do you operate like that with your man? Because the person that you're sleeping with. Okay, so if you don't do that with this type of stuff, why wouldn't you do that with a trip? Oh, the bill was $2,900. You owe me $1,500. I owe you $1,500. Let's split it down in the middle. That's why I said when you go on trips with a man that you're sleeping with, more likely he paying. He paying. And he should be paying. He should be. And don't get mad at me because I'm traditional. He should be paying. You got that in this dude a job making $650,000 and he ain't paying. Like I said, you got to be the dumbest, foolish, stupidest. I used the choice word earlier. In America. To tell me you reimbursed him back for these trips. But on the simple date, you don't split the bill. It's like, oh, I got you this time. And normally what happens is like she said her man is, or Nathan Wade is a Southern gentleman. He's used to paying for everything. So she had to force him to, just imagine how much she had to force him to take this money if he's a Southern gentleman. That's why, let's use common sense. That's why we know she didn't pay this man back. Unless she hid it in his house somewhere so he wouldn't know that he was accepting his money. Come on, you guys, let's just use common sense. Southern gentlemen don't like women paying for anything. This powerful DA, she's saying, oh, I don't never do my girlfriends like that. Well, he's not your girlfriend, he's your man. You want to be big willy-nilly. Sometime he pays, sometime I pay. Well, that's the same thing that we should think on the trips, right? He booking to pay your trip, the flights, and all that stuff. And you had the nerve to tell everybody in America you paid this man back after you gave him I'm going to get back after you gave this man $650,000 of the taxpayers' money. And you're telling me you paid him back. He was digging you down and you paid him back for these fancy trips to Belize. You went on a few cute cruises with his mom and his sisters. Come on now. You guys, we just gotta just think logically.
He caught the bill, I caught the bill. Whomever.
Did you ever pay him through Cash App?
No.
You only ever paid him through cash?
Well, yes. What we're talking about, I'm very confused.
You've never
now.
given Mr. Wade money through Cash App?
No.
The only money you've ever given him outside of a contract is cash.
I didn't give him money in a contract, so that was cute, but I didn't give him money outside in a contract. What happened? No, we're gonna answer it since you said it. He worked more hours than he was paid, and the county paid him for the work that he did. So don't be cute with me and then think that you're not going to get an answer.
And I will ask you about the contract in a minute. I asked you about cash. Did you ever pay him anything? And I'm trying to qualify my questions. I'm not talking about the contract with Fulton County that was paid. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about outside of that. Did you ever pay him anything other than cash?
I've only given him cash a few times in the course of what we're talking about.
So you've never
if we would go to dinner,
let her finish her answer.
if we would go to dinner, I wouldn't give him cash because he paid for dinner or I paid for dinner. I've given him cash only a few times in life, probably 4.
Okay.
Probably the most money I've ever handed him is $2,500. The least amount of money I've handed him, probably between $500 and $1,000.
You never wrote him a check?
Ma'am, I don't have checks.
Okay. So you have no proof of any reimbursement for any of these things because it was all cash, right?
The testimony of one witness is enough to prove a fact.
So my
Are you
question was,
telling
do
me
you
that
have
I'm
any
lying to you?
proof?
Is that what you're intimating right here?
I'm asking if you have any proof that you paid him any of these
The
monies.
proof is what I just told you.
You have no.
No, it's not, Fani. The proof is just your word. We're just saying, oh, we're just assuming that you paid him. And Nathan Wade, oh yeah, he paid me cash. She paid me cash because you're trying to dodge getting kicked off from this case and getting investigated from the state of Georgia Law Association or the Bar Association and the Judiciary Committee that they're already questioning the misuse of federal funds. So what are you talking about? They're not going to take this testimony and say, oh, she said she paid him, but you don't have any money trail, no paper trail of your alleged receipts. And they don't do it in child support. They don't do that. Just ask any man that was caught up with child support. Oh, I paid him cash, or I paid her cash. I was giving her money. They don't give a shit. They don't care. Oh, you got any proof? Then you still owe X amount of dollars in child support. Unless you kept those said cash payment receipts, they don't care. Just like your testimony. We don't care, or they don't care if you said you paid it in cash. You have to have proof. And you know that, Fani. You know it.
Written proof. Is that correct?
So I have some, probably some transactions like in Belize. I probably spent $500 on my card in Belize. I spent I can't remember, $900 on each of our tickets to go to Belize. I did the $700. I probably got some minor expenses in Aruba that would be on a card. But for the most part, for those trips, other than, so the 2 cruises, I gave him money for those before we ever left, because they were pre-booked. Let me answer.
You're not answering. It's not proof. Unless you got receipts like your credit card receipts, that's proof. But you're telling us you gave him cash. So she like I said, Fani Willis dug herself in the hole, and she looks like a damn fool for doing this. She looks like a fool. You're a lawyer, and you know what they was gonna ask you about. You should have made some receipts up. If anything, you should look at some of your transactions to see if you could match up the days that you went on this travel. Come on now. You're saying you paid him cash. Like I said, I'm going back to my original thought. Just use common sense. The man you sleeping with, you got him a job. Y'all want to look like a high power attorney or high power relationship, a power couple. You got them this grandiose job or contract with the county. You guys are sleeping around with each other because it sounded like she admired him prior to them started sleeping with each other. That's what it sounds like. Now you're in this relationship and you're trying to remain secret, but you can't tell me. I don't care what woman and how powerful they are. If a man taking you out and taking you on a trip, you're going to love that. You're not going to be like, oh, let me reimburse you after y'all having sex and you giving up booty. Oh, I want to reimburse you because I don't want no man thinking he going to pay for anything. You sound like a damn fool. You sound like a fool. Anywho. Last thing I want to point out. If you guys want to see this, just go to Atlanta First. The full, interview or hearing. Go to Atlanta First. That's where I'm viewing this from. And you can see it. This is from, I don't know whose attorney this is, but it might be Donald Trump attorney. He's a really good attorney. Let's put that out there. Very good attorney. Anna Cross she's a pretty good attorney too. But one thing I want to point out is what Fani says on this particular line of questioning. Like I said, Fani Willis, she is portraying that she is a strong Black woman. She don't allow no man to pay anything for her. To me, I call that a bunch of bullshit. I call that out. I think she's lying through her damn teeth. You could say I'm a strong Black woman, but do you think I'm going to reach in my purse to pay for something and you the man? No, I'm not. I'm not going to reach in my purse to pay for a trip and we're going gallivanting and after I forward your career. I gave you this $650,000 job. That's the least you could do. You whining and dining me. That's the least you could do. I wouldn't say, oh, you owe me. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. But if we're going on a trip and he whining and I know he's a man, yeah, I'm just gonna let him whine and dine me. So, like I said, I don't care if you're a strong Black woman. You're not gonna go halvies on the trip. You're not gonna do that. But this is what she's trying to portray, and this is what she's saying.
The romantic relationship ended before the indictment was returned, yes or no?
To a man, yes.
Well, to a man, yes. To you, no?
She's explained this, Mr. Sadown. She's explained this.
And did the forthcoming indictment have anything to do with that?
Ooh.
Or was it just a coincidence?
Mr. Let's go on and have the conversation.
I've just asked you whether or not it was a coincidence.
Had absolutely nothing to do with this. It's interesting that we're here about this money. Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship, which is why I would give him his money back. I don't need anybody to foot my bills. The only man who's ever foot my bills completely is my daddy.
Is there anything else you would like to add to that?
No.
Sure.
But I'm sure we'll talk about it further.
No, we're not going to talk about it further.
But then this is not a bill, Fani. This is not a bill. We didn't say, did he pay your rent, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about trips. The only man that could, now, if you would have got a zinger, the only man that could wine and dine me is my daddy. Now people be questioning, like, what kind of relationship do you have with your daddy? But we're talking about a man that you sleeping with. We're not talking about foot your bills, because bills is something like, oh, I need to pay my lights, rent, utility, or house note, car note. That's a bill, not travel. Travel is not a bill. Like I said, going back to my original thought, we have to use common sense. I don't care how strong this woman is. Every woman wants to be wine and dine. Every woman. Now, if her argument was, oh yeah, I wanted to keep everything up and up because I know it could be perceived as an ethical problem, which she should have had that in mind, but she thought her relationship was secret. She should have kept receipts if she paid this man back. But why am I thinking she didn't pay this man back? Because she didn't. She didn't keep receipts. She thought this was going to go away and nobody was going to know about it. So anyway, I'm not going to beat the head over Fani Willis again. You guys, if y'all want to view this this is 2 7-hour videos, a testimony. And Fani testified about, I think she testified for about 2 hours. Like I said, if you want to view it, you could find it on Atlanta First, I believe. So my last story I really want to talk about before I head out is, let me just make sure. I don't see nothing in here. Ricky Keys saying boyfriend and girlfriend spending their salaries on each other isn't kickbacks. You see, you don't know anything about working in civil service, Ricky. Ricky, you're incorrect. You're incorrect. They're spending taxpayers' money. Their salaries are funded through taxpayers. So when you have a relationship with your subordinate, maybe you never heard of it. You can do this even in private companies. You cannot have a relationship with your subordinate. They have strict rules about having a relationship with your subordinates. You can't do it. Private companies, view it that way. And then you're working as a civil servant, a public company, or not even a company. It's public or a civil service company. Come on now. You can't do it. She's the district attorney. And she ran on that. She ran on not sleeping with her subordinates. And since she hired, even though he's not an employee, if you watch the testimony, he's not an employee. He's a contract employee. She personally hired him. So, and she's his boss. She could hire and fire him. So therefore, that's her subordinate. You cannot sleep with your subordinates. It's clear stated rule. There's nothing ambiguous about the rule. It's clear and stated, and it's defined. It's very definitive about that. Nothing ambiguous about that. Anyway, I just don't understand why people don't see the moral and ethical problem with this. That's where our society, they see a black woman, oh, they're prosecuting a black woman. No, it don't matter if you're black, white, yellow, green, purple. You're supposed to be a one holding the office of moral and ethical standard. It doesn't matter what color you are. You ran on not sleeping with your subordinates, and you shouldn't. Keeping a messy house, and you shouldn't. And you're doing the thing that you ran upon. The person that you replaced, you're doing the same shit he did. So, and now that this whole thing, you're supposed to have been prosecuting Donald Trump, whether you like Donald Trump or not, you're supposed to have been prosecuting them. So how can they trust your judgment if your judgment is skewed? You thought it was okay to have a full-blown affair with your subordinate. And not only on top of that, this man was your subordinate. He was married. Come on now. Stop sticking up for people that shouldn't be. We hold people at a high regard that we shouldn't hold a high regard. Just like George Floyd. I hate to get on George Floyd, but we making a martyr out of him. Like he's like, oh my God, George Floyd putting murals and everything. He's never did anything for society besides rob people. He held a pregnant woman at gunpoint. He has a lifelong career in criminal behavior. And we're sticking up for these type of people. And I'm not saying Fani Willis is a criminal, but you're 53 years old, and you decided at 53 that you're going to take the biggest case that United States has ever seen and try to hold them to an ethical and moral standard. And you're doing the very same shit that you're trying to prosecute people for. That, to me, it doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, some people are just like really not there. You know, they don't use common sense. And apparently Ricky, whoever's in this chat saying stupid shit, you don't have any common sense. Apparently, I don't know how old you are, but you don't have any common sense, because a person with common sense will literally know that if I hire contractors in my company and I start sleeping with my contractors, they could like literally sue me for sexual harassment, even though they're not my employee, they're contractors. Come on now, let's use common sense. This is not a taboo. Where I guess it is taboo of like treating, having some type of moral standards to yourself. Just not even sleeping with other people's man. That's just totally ridiculous to me. Anyway, I just went off on a tangent because I'm looking at these comments and it sounds ridiculous. Really ridiculous. My next story It's another ridiculous thing. And you probably won't be surprised. This guy named Ronald, Dr. Ronald, let me just pull his picture up. Ronald Fryer. He used to be a professor. He's an economist. 46-year-old. He's a brilliant guy. Very brilliant. He was a professor at Harvard University. Now, we know your girl, Claudine Gay. You know, she was in the news because of her whole stance for Palestinians in Hamas. And she thought it wasn't necessary for her university to take disciplinary actions against students that are saying that they will cause harm to another race, because that other race was Jewish people. She didn't see a problem with that. She couldn't definitively say that Harvard University does not allow that type of behavior at that university. So they made her step down. Harvard University is a very left-wing university. They espouse their political ideology on these young, bright minds. And I say young, bright minds. They're very malleable. And when you're young in college, you're just trying to, find yourself and try to fit in where you feel like, oh, I want to make a difference. I want to make a change. And so they end up polluting these minds. Claudine believes in Marxism. She's a communist. She has that same ideology, and she built her career on defining that America is such a racist place that you should be afraid. You cannot achieve life and be successful in America because racism. That's what she has this whole, I guess, this whole department in Harvard University, and that's where she got her doctorate degree on racism in America. She got some crazy ass book out there. But anyway, I want to talk about Ronald G. Fryer. Okay, so I came across this post. This is really crazy. And I'm not surprised by it, but I came across this post that he got fired. He got fired a couple of years ago. And listen to, this is like a 3-minute video. I want you guys to listen to what he said. It's so crazy why he got fired. Preface to this video, he did a research paper on police brutality and police shootings. He tried to correlate police shootings to race to see if cops have higher propensity to shoot a Black person than a white person. I talk about this all the time on my channel. If you've been following me for a while, I pulled up statistics. The stats doesn't show that Black folks are dying. We seen, like, in 2020, I think 500 Black people died of a police shooting. And then we seen in 2023 about the same number. People, Black, when we're talking about Black people, over in America, about 1,000 people died by the hands of cops. But we didn't get into it. Hey, did the person have a gun? Blah, blah, blah. We didn't get into that. But it was approximately 500 people, total about 1,200 people of that total. So he tried to correlate to see if there was a correlation between Blacks getting killed by the cops versus whites and other races. And this is what he said.
I collected a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. So what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure.
He hired 8 fresh, so he had RAs or resident assistants or research assistants. He hired the originals. He was like, oh, I'm surprised because this can't be, maybe they did something wrong. So he hired 8 new ones to see if these results would come out the same.
Sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And then I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they said, yeah, then it would make sense. And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens. So it was, you know, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for it because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
So you heard that. The guy came up, researched, he hired 8 different residence assistants and came up with the same results. And you see the liberal left started threatening him. They really got upset with him. How dare you say the police department is not racist? We know it's racist throughout America. He ended up getting security guards. He had to have a personal guard or personal detail assigned to his home because they was threatening his life. They was mad. Wouldn't you be happy that, hey, well, maybe there isn't, maybe we're just, what is it called? Making it, sensationalizing this in the media. We're sensationalizing race in the media, racism in the media. You think professors and other academia staff will be happy that someone took their time and did research on this? So just to give you a background, he didn't start down this trail. He's done a lot of work in the community. Dr. Fryer, he grew up where his dad was an alcoholic. I think his mom was in the prison system or something like that. But he shouldn't be where he's at. but he ended up getting in some trouble. He ended up going to some economics class, and he loved it. He loved it. Find out he was a brilliant person. And he studied under other Black scholars, economists, and he ended up, his career took off. But one thing about his career, he tackled the education system. Now, his grandmother was an educator, and he ended up turning a few schools around in New York. Because you can't. This is what the problem in liberals. They will tell you, "Oh, woe is me. You had a hard life. You shouldn't have to read. You're so stressed out. All this racism everywhere, and the police is attacking you. Reading should be the last thing on your mind. Don't worry about that. We'll lower the test system. We'll lower the standards. Oh, you don't have to worry about passing these standards. We'll let you graduate." The standards have gotten so low for our kids because of what lefties think about Black people. They just really think Black people are stupid because of racism. They want you to believe there's racism. They want you to believe it's out there to get you. So he started on that path. He doesn't believe in affirmative action. He don't believe in it, because he feels like if I could do it, anybody else, if you just put enough effort and time into what you want to do, you will achieve it. Unless something's like mentally wrong with you. Like if you like mentally retarded, okay, low IQ, and we're talking about because of genetics or something. But anyone can achieve if you spend the time and the effort. And that's what he's saying. One last video I want to share with you. They did a documentary on him. And I want you guys to subscribe to this channel. He has very good documentaries on just different people that's in the media. That we see that, the media is lifting up. Like that one guy I was talking about, Abram Kendi, I think his last name is Kendi. He's a doctor too. He talks about racism like it's... Anyway, he has a documentary on. He's a nut job too. He's exactly like what is the guy name? He's exactly like I can't think of the Claudine Gay. He's exactly like her. Let me see if I can find his Brooklyn. Gmail. Oh, maybe this is it.
Papers that I thought was really extraordinary.
Okay, and this video is titled "How Claudine Gay Canceled Harvard's Best Black Professor." Not going to view the whole video, but it's like a 24-minute video, but it's certain parts I want to share with you guys.
One of his early papers that I thought was really extraordinary was this paper on economics of acting white.
This is the controversial theory that many black kids consider doing well in school to be a white thing, and that kids who excel in school will get labeled race traitors and lose friends.
There's a party line on the acting white slander, they call it, which is that it's complete bullshit.
Mounds of existing research seemed to debunk acting white by simply asking top students how popular they were and finding no social penalty for doing well in school.
Asking a 13-year-old boy how popular he is, it's like asking him how much sex he's having. I mean, you're going to get an answer, but it's probably not going to be the right one.
Ronald comes up with a different way to measure popularity.
The students are asked, who are your 3 best friends? And so you can count how many times somebody gets named as somebody else's 3 best friends. He has this beautiful algorithm for constructing a popularity index, which he then correlates with the student's grades. And he finds that the curve of popularity rises up until about a B, and then it starts to tail off.
Ronald finds that black kids do lose friends as they excel in school, that there's a cultural ceiling capping classroom performance.
A lot of times we don't talk honestly and openly about the things that are hindering blacks in America. And that's what I'm all about, frankly. These things can be studied scientifically, and we have to do so to make progress.
Ronald is originally from Daytona Beach, Florida. Right after he's born, his mother flees the state. He won't meet her until he's 20. He's raised by his dad, a gambling-addicted alcoholic. Ronald learns to drive stick shift, picking him up from jail. In high school, Ronald falls into small-time crime, stealing clothes from department stores and selling off the loot from his bedroom, a .357 Magnum sitting on his lap. He's recruited to college on an athletic scholarship and happens to drop in on an economics class. He's instantly mesmerized by the data sets and clean equations. Eventually, he studies under Steve Levitt, the Freakonomics phenom. He learns the craft how to deploy these tools to crack open the world and reveal hidden truths. And the truth that matters most to Ronald is how to fix schools for all the other young Ronalds in the world.
It wasn't until I got involved in education I heard about the cardiac test. You'd walk around a school and they would say, we have a new program, after school program. And I would say, oh, that's great. Does it work? And they would say, yeah. And I said, well, how do you know it works? You could feel it in your heart. Maybe.
You know the devil.
Ronald's work brings him here, to the Harlem Children's Zone. It's a revolution, taking in poor black kids and within 3 years getting them to catch up to and even exceed their white peers at richer schools.
You know, we really got to think about this gap here, because there's like a white-black gap going on. I'm not sure why you guys can't actually achieve.
He starts piecing together a 5-part formula for the zone's success, and he finds that a central piece is aggressive human capital management. Economists speak for the practice of firing tons of teachers.
You ask the teachers, what do you think you need to educate these kids? And we got answers like, well, all we need is smarter kids. I said, all you need is a new job.
The zone's formula is simply operationalized common sense. Revolutionizing schools won't require a revolution.
They needed extra time. If you're behind, you either got to spend more time or ask the white kids to please take Thursday and Friday off. Small tutoring groups, they used data to drive instruction. They had high expectations and they took no excuses for failure.
The highlight of Ronald's youth were summers spent with his grandmother, a Florida grade school teacher. And she notices what he notices about this formula.
I talk to my grandmother about every other day. She lives in Daytona Beach, Florida, very close to here. And I told her the 5 things. And we're family now, I'll just tell you what she told me. She said, baby, they pay you for that shit. I know it's obvious.
It's not that hard, you guys. It's really not that hard. All you gotta do is care about, children. One of the 5 things you just gotta study is you gotta spend more time. If you want to catch up, you gotta spend more time. He used the word capital management or capital management, make time management basically. What are you spending your most time on? I hear my kids playing in a video game. They're not supposed to even be in a video game. So when I get off from you guys, all I'm going to do is tell them to get off the video game and probably take away their Friday video game because they're being disobedient. They're supposed to be using their time. My older son, he has a paper that's due, an informative paper. He's supposed to be using his time to do his research on his paper, but he's not doing it. So, okay, this is what parents we have to go through. Okay, so you got to make up that time. The time that you was spending playing this video game, which you shouldn't have been, you should have been writing. That is plain and simple, just like it's plain and simple. His grandmother is absolutely right. It's time. How much time are you spending on your studies? And we're not going to accept, oh, it's okay for you to fail. No, it's not. It's a requirement. I tell my kids it's a requirement. If you don't do anything else, it's a requirement for you to achieve in your school. All that extra stuff, play and all that, yeah, you want to have fun as a kid, but come on now. So we like I said, this doctor, he was canceled by Claudine Gay. They come back his research. There were other professors saying how they made these 1-page report. Matter of fact, there's a rebuttal on Harvard's website about this finding of the police not being racist. And it was a whole rebuttal. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I missed a part of the story. So he published this story, and he started getting these death threats and all this stuff because, of course, the liberals was mad as hell at him. So they tried to oust him at the Harvard Law School. Some claim came out. You guys put in the chat, what do you think the claim was? Some claim came out and he was suspended for 2 years at Harvard. He was suspended for 2 years. A claim of sexual assault. That's what they said. This guy, and he vehemently denied this. So all of a sudden he wrote this paper, got media attention. Harvard was pissed off about it. They told him behind closed doors, you shouldn't publish this paper. We liked the first part because the first part came out what they wanted to hear, that cops was being racist. But the last part, hey, that's what all BLM movements are on. That's what I built my career on, of being racist, and the white man is the racist boogeyman. And the police are killing black folks like flies in the fly trap. So they made this false claim of saying he and it wasn't even sexual assault. They said something about he had an inappropriate relationship, or this girl claimed that he made a pass at him, but he denied this claim. And so why? Okay, if you suspended him, why didn't you fire him? And then I think he eventually ended up leaving Harvard. But like on Harvard's website now, It's this other guy saying, oh, Dr. Fryer's, no, this is not him. His research is a lie. Let me see if I can find his name. I think I wrote his name down. This is his research, you guys, if you want to find it. It's called an empirical analysis of racial differences in police use of force. It's a PDF file. This particular it doesn't have the appendices attached to it, but it's a 57-page report. But what I was getting at, this particular doctor, after he came out with the research, they had this white guy publish opinionated paper on Harvard's website saying, oh, Dr. Ronald Fryer's, they cite this paper, it's all made up, it's a lie. He's completely wrong. His research is biased. That's what he said. Anyway. And view that that documentary. It's a very good documentary. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can view it. Anyway, that was all I got to say about that, you guys. I've been going at it for about 2 hours. So you guys let me know what you think. You know, remember to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Later on today, I'll chop these up in mini videos so it could be bite-sized pieces. And I really appreciate every single every single last one of you. Tongue-tied. If you guys left a super chat, I wasn't able to see it. But I really appreciate if you left a super chat. I appreciate every one of you guys for tuning in. Anywho, I will see you tomorrow. I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.